Hey, welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're jumping into a really different way to think about evaluating projects, one that actually values the entire journey, not just the finish line.
So let's just dive right in. I want you to think about pretty much any team project you've ever been a part of. Could be from school, could be from work. What does the final grade or the evaluation almost always come down to? Right, it's that one thing, the final product you hand in.
And that's the core of the problem, isn't it? An approach like that completely misses half the story. It ignores the collaboration, the dead ends you learn from, the late-night brainstorming sessions, all the actual work it took to get there.
So in this explainer, we're going to walk through a framework that tries to solve this. We'll talk about that core problem, introduce a much more balanced solution, break down its three main pillars, look at the tools you'd use to actually implement it, and then wrap up with why this is such a potential game changer.
Okay, so how do we break out of this trap of only looking at the final result? Well, the source material we're digging into today proposes what it calls a balanced assessment strategy. It's a whole new way to think about grading work that happens over time.
And boom, here it is. This visual gives you the entire system at a glance. You can see it's built on three core pillars. You've got process, you've got technical quality, and you've got professional skills. And each one gets its own specific weight, creating a much more complete picture.
This quote right here really nails the big idea. It's a philosophical shift. It's all about rebalancing the scales, making sure that the journey, the how, is seen as just as valuable as the destination, or the final result.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of these pillars and see how this all works in practice, starting with how everything is weighted.
All right, first up, and this is the real heavyweight of the bunch, is the process itself. We're talking a massive 40 to 50% of the total assessment.
Coming in next is the technical quality of the work. This is the actual output, the thing you delivered. This makes up the second biggest piece of the pie, sitting between 30 and 40%.
And finally, we have professional skills, how the team actually worked together. And this gets its own distinct, very important slice, about 10 to 20%.
What's so interesting when you see it laid out like this is how it completely rebalances the whole equation. It deliberately puts the how, the process, on equal if not greater footing than the what, the final technical output. So let's break down what each of these pillars actually means.
So that first pillar, process, is really all about accountability and consistency. You can think of it as the engine room of the whole project.
This whole pillar really boils down to one simple but really powerful question. Did the team do the work when they said they were going to do it? For a software team, for instance, it's not just about whether the final code works. It's about, did they follow their own sprint plan? Did they log their progress along the way?
All right, let's move on to pillar number 2, technical quality. Now, this is probably the one that feels the most familiar to all of us. It's all about the quality of the final thing you hand in.
So here, the focus is squarely on the work itself. If we're talking about a research paper, this means asking, is the information accurate? Is the research deep enough? Does the final paper meet the professional standards you'd expect in that field?
And that brings us to our third pillar, which is all about something that gets overlooked all the time in traditional grading, but is absolutely critical for success in the real world: teamwork.
This pillar is all about those soft skills. How well did the team members actually talk to each other? Was there a real constructive conversation? Or did just one person do all the talking? And this is really important. Did they take time to reflect on what they learned from the whole experience?
Okay, so now we get the three pillars. But the next logical question is, how do you actually track and measure all this stuff? I mean, it can't just be based on a vibe, right? And this table just lays out the practical side of it so perfectly. You can see how each pillar connects to a key question and then the specific kinds of tools you'd need to get the answer. And notice that split. Some of it is hard data and some of it is more human feedback. So for that process pillar, you're relying on objective quantitative data. You can literally use the history from project management tools like Jira or Trello to track the workflow and see if tasks got done on time. It gives you a real, concrete sense of the project's momentum. But for technical quality and professional skills, you really need more nuance. And that's where you have to lean on qualitative feedback, things like structured rubrics to assess the work, and peer evaluations to get that crucial inside look at how the team actually collaborated.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Why go to all the trouble of implementing a system like this one?
Well, the benefits are pretty huge. A strategy like this fosters real accountability because the process itself is being measured. It naturally encourages effective teamwork because those professional skills have actual weight in the grade. It rewards all the learning that happens along the way. And at the end of the day, it just provides a way more complete and, frankly, fairer picture of performance. And that really leaves us with one final thought. What could change in your own projects, whether it's at work or school or anywhere, if success wasn't just measured by the final outcome, but by the quality of the process it took to get there? It's a shift that could totally change how we work and learn together.